Hello and welcome, my lovely Pisces, to your moon reading. This is a 7-card circle moon reading. So I hope you enjoyed this format. If you do, please do drop a comment and let me know. It is a little different than the normal format I use on the channel, so I'm hoping you'll enjoy it. But we'll go ahead and get started. This can work for your moon or your sun sign if you would like. But let's go ahead and get started here. This first card is indicative of the problem that you're having, the situation you're in, or what you're currently facing. The second card is how you arrived at this position. So what caused it to occur, what got you in this situation, that kind of thing. The third card is similar to a challenge type card in a regular tarot deck. So what is kind of keeping you bound to the situation, what your challenge is in overcoming the situation, as it were. Your fourth card is the resolution. So should you follow the proper steps or go through the motions as needed, this would be your ultimate in-game resolution. And your fifth, sixth, and seventh cards are the actual steps you would need to take to achieve your resolution. Okay, so let's take a look here and see what we're looking at. It does look like right here we're having some gratitude issues. Okay, so for many of you, there may be things that you are not feeling grateful for. Perhaps things aren't going your way, so you're having some issues with having feelings of being grateful because just things aren't going your way. But for more of you than not, I feel like what this is you aren't feeling like you're getting your gratitude, okay? So for many of you, what I feel like is perhaps at work, you're not getting what you feel is your just rewards for the work that you're doing. Maybe you're not getting the raises that you're supposed to be getting or the promotions that you're trying to get, things like that. You're just not getting the gratitude for as much effort and work as you're putting in. If this is relationship related for many of you, I feel like you feel like your partner is being very ungrateful to you. Or if there is somebody who you are trying to be in a relationship with, they aren't recognizing you in the way that they should, perhaps. Maybe you are, throwing out hints. Maybe you just don't feel like they're acknowledging, all of the special qualities or attributes that you have right now. And in that sense, it's like they're not grateful for all the things that you are doing for them to try to get them to notice you. Maybe little things, maybe it's not anything grandiose, maybe it's not any major, shows of affection, but you're doing small things to try to get their attention. And they're just not being what you would consider grateful by acknowledging it or noticing it as much. And again, if it's a long-term relationship or you're in a solid relationship, you just feel like your partner is just not paying you the gratitude that you deserve for all of the efforts that you're putting into the relationship, all the work that you're doing, maybe taking care of the house, the kids, the finances, the family, whatever it may be. So at this point, you're just feeling a little bit like you're just not getting the respect you deserve at this point. So you're not feeling very appreciated, let's say. So what kind of got you here was creation. And I think this is kind of where you created this situation yourself, to be honest with you. And I think what it is that you kind of set a mindset where you've always done these things and you've never, you set an expectation, okay? So people are expecting you to be a certain way because you've always been that way. You've always taken care of everything. You've always done all these things. You've always been the person they could count on at work. You've always been the person that took care of everything at home. So while that's a wonderful attribute, unfortunately, when you set an expectation that's up here, people tend to take that for granted, okay? A lot of times they're like, okay, you've created this expectation. That's kind of the world you have set into motion. That's kind of what you've done. So they don't really even notice, that you're doing anything special because that's what you've always done. Okay, so, if they had something to compare it to, maybe, let's say they were coming from a place where they had to do all these things for themselves, or they were with a partner or at a job where they had to do all these significant little things for themselves and it piled up into a lot, and now they've got you doing it, that would be a completely different situation. They would recognize that. But because you've created this environment where you've always handled everything. That's just what they've come to expect. That's their norm, okay? So in that regard, maybe it's not 100% their fault that they, aren't really giving you the gratitude that you feel like you need. But right now you are specifically needing, that pat on the back, that extra, like we all do, okay, from time to time. You need that pat on the back. You need that acknowledgement. Everybody needs that from time to time. Especially when you are working extra or working extra hard at things at home or work or wherever it may be, or things are extra heavy duty with the kids and sports and school and work and finances and whatever it may be, and you are really pulling more than you feel like you need to be pulling weight-wise. You need acknowledgement. You deserve that. You need that, okay? So what's holding you back from getting all of this, what your challenge card is abundance, okay? And that seems like for most of you, you're like, well, that's a great thing, right? You've got abundance. It's great. But unfortunately, again, this is a situation where because you have an abundant situation, you have an abundant workplace. You're doing well at work. You have abundance in your home. You're doing well at home. You have an abundant family. You have abundant finances. You have abundance in whatever facet you have here. You don't really tend to notice that there's a problem until you hit, a certain point, or, a lot of people don't notice there's a problem until they hit rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? So as long as everything's running smoothly and everything's abundant, they're not noticing that there's a problem. And they, a lot of people just assume, oh, it's taking care of itself, but they don't realize that really you're doing so much work to make it happen. You're the man behind the curtain, okay? Or the woman behind the curtain. You're the Wizard of Oz back here doing everything, and they just don't notice it. And when everything's running smoothly, there's no reason to question it, right? So this is part of the problem here, is that everything's going so well. Why question it? Don't fix you don't fix something that's not broken, right? So this is part of the issue. And I know this is a good problem to have, but it is part of what is causing people to not acknowledge that they need to be extra grateful, because they're just kind of like, well, what is there to be, grateful for? We haven't ever had any lows that you've had to dig us out of. Had you had to dig us out of something, we could be really grateful for that. But, everything's been, copacetic, smooth sailing, recently, lately, what have you. We're not in any bad shape. What do we need to be super grateful to you for? It's just flowing just fine. But they don't realize that it's flowing fine because of you, okay? So the ultimate outcome is going to be will. And that's going to be your sheer will. They're going to recognize that your will, okay, is what is causing this. So I do believe that you will get the recognition for your will, for how much you put into it, for how much drive, effort, energy, sheer willpower it takes for you to run this, to keep this abundance, to keep everything going, to create this perfect, work life, home life, balance, all of that good stuff. I do feel like that will be the end outcome. I do feel like you will get your gratitude, but it is going to take some steps, of course, as with anything. So, here are the steps in this moon circle, as it were, for you to get there. Number one is your beauty card. Now, this deck does not indicate that that is specifically external beauty. That can be your internal beauty. So what you need to do is you need to, really allow people to see your internal beauty, okay? That you really do affect them internally. You put out kindness, okay? You do go above and beyond. You do need to let them understand that there is more to you than just, I'm this person, I'm that person, I'm a mom, I'm a worker, I'm a dishwasher, I'm a taxi driver, you're the jack of all trades, but you're also a kind, compassionate, beautiful person inside who does a lot for everybody. If they understand why you do the things you do, that you don't just do it because it's an everyday thing that you have to do to keep the house running, but you do it because you're a beautiful person who loves them or cares about the work, if it's a job situation, or you care about your family, that's going to make them appreciate why you're doing it, okay? So make sure that you are, communicating that, letting them know, I'm not just doing these things because I have to. I don't have to do these specific things. I'm doing these things because I want to do these things for you. You know, I want to be the one who shows up for you at, you know, this practice, this game. I want to be the one who's cooking you a nice, healthy meal. I want to be the one who is helping you with your work stuff or your homework, or, you know, helping you with your problems, or if it's something at your work. I want to be the one who stays late to help lighten your work burden and your load, because I am a kind and considerate person. Okay. This will help you get recognition that it's not just something you do because you feel like you have to earn a paycheck, or it's something you do because you have to do it as that's your parent duty, and it's something you've always done, but it's something you do because you do it with love. You do it with your inner beauty, okay, your inner kindness. The next step is protection, okay? So here's where you need to protect your own feelings. This is something where you need to protect your own feelings by, you know, really trying to understand what their mindset is. Again, as I stated before, you know, I don't necessarily feel for a lot of them that they are being ungrateful on, you know, on a level that is just because they're being, you know, mean, or they just don't want to give you your due diligence, or they don't appreciate you. I don't think that is essentially what's going on for a lot of your situation. I feel like for a lot of you, though, it's just that they don't recognize or realize how much you really do, and how much that, you know, how hard it would be if you weren't there doing it. I don't think they realize what goes on behind the curtain to make a household run or a job run. And if you weren't there, how much different things would be. Because maybe that's all they've ever known with you. You've always been that hard worker. You've always been that person who just balanced the house, took care of everything, took care of everyone's needs, everyone's whatever. First thing you did was make sure everyone else was taken care of. That's just who you are. So, you know, try to protect your feelings by understanding that it's not meant to be against you, that they're not meaning to be, you know, downplaying you as a person or hurtful to you if they're not showing appreciation. It's more so that they just don't realize necessarily that they are being that way. They're just kind of going with the flow. And especially if things are abundant, you know, it's easier to appreciate people if you've come from like rock bottom and somebody's really gone above and beyond what their normal is to help you build yourself back up, right? Okay, because you see that. You see somebody who's done something out of their normal, out of their ordinary. They've gone above and beyond. It's not somebody you're used to doing that. They've helped you come from a really low to a really high. Okay, that is a drastic extreme, right? So that's easy to acknowledge. It's much harder to acknowledge when this is the status quo. Okay, they've always known you as that kind, loving person who's always helped everybody and put everybody else's needs first. And, you know, you've always had this decent, fairly abundant relationship or work life or, you know, balance. It doesn't mean that you're, you know, loaded rich or your life is, you know, sunshine and rainbows, but it is fairly abundant. You know, you are okay. So again, you know, that makes it harder to recognize. It's not an extreme, stark comparison. So just try to remember that, and that will protect your feelings a little bit going forward. And then focus, okay? Focus is the last thing here. And I think with focus, the thing that you need to focus on most is communication here. You need to focus on helping them to understand exactly what it is that you do, okay? Because again, I think a lot of this is not something where they, you know, they're intentionally being unappreciative. I think it's something where they just don't recognize what all it takes to be you. Okay. I think they would be a lot more appreciative of you if they understood how much of your focus it takes just to get through your day. Okay. If they had to walk a day in your shoes and they had to go through all of the things that you have to do, if they had to focus on all of the different aspects that you have to deal with, be all of the people that you have to be in a day. Okay. So if you have to be a worker, if you have to be a mom, if you have to be a, you know, a social coordinator, if you have to be, you know, just, you know, all the things that you have to do in one day, if they had to realize that all the focus that it takes to get through just one day to make the household run, the relationship run, the job run, whatever, I do think they would be completely, they would have a different scope, a different idea of how important you are, how necessary you are, and it be much more appreciative of you. Okay, so, you know, this may be your opportunity to maybe step back from a couple tasks. You know, I'm not saying let the house go to rack and ruin or your job go to rack and ruin, but maybe try to step back from a couple tasks and let them try it out and see, you know, without you stepping up and taking care of everybody's everything all the time. Let them have just a little tiny taste perhaps of how much focus it actually takes to do all of the things you do. Because for many of you, I feel like many of you are, you know, you're pulling quadruple plus duties. You know, you're jack of all trades. You may be working, you may be a parent, and that requires you to be, you know, a coach, a teacher, a taxi driver, a nurse when your kids get injured or sick, housekeeper, laundry service. You know, it's not just one facet, you know, you're everything all in one in this day and age. So I do feel like they don't realize sometimes what all you do for them. And that's where, you know, you need to let them know how much effort, how much brain power you have to use just to make it through a day, so that they understand how exhausting it can be just to be you. That will help them give you much more gratitude, appreciate you much more. And, you know, you will have, you know, your will be more appreciated, how much you actually have to put into it, how much willpower it takes you to make it through just one day of all of their activities, or all your work activities, or all your, you know, balancing your day. And it will really give your family, or your coworkers, or whomever you're having this issue with, a whole new appreciation of you, what you do, and who you are. And I really feel like it will change the whole way that your relationship runs in a much healthier way that gets you, you know, some grateful pats on the back that you so deserve, and everyone does need from time to time. Even if you're not one of those attention seekers, or, you know, a person who needs platitudes all the time. Everybody deserves that once in a while. So anyway, I hope this did resonate with you. If it did, please do like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. Otherwise, I hope to see you back later at the weekend for your weekend into next week energy reading. Bye.